Denial of Palestinian statehood unacceptable. Vladimir Putin set to visit Pyongyang soon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jessica Lee and this is World Today. Condemnation of Israel's military action in Gaza dominated the closing sessions of the Non-Aligned Movement or NAM's annual summit in Uganda on Saturday, where two of United Nations top diplomats rallied the 120-member bloc to condemn what they said were indiscriminate attacks against Palestinian civilians. At the summit, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said the number of civilian casualties in Gaza over such a short period of time was unprecedented, adding that 152 UN staff members had been killed since the war started last year. He also reiterated that the right of the Palestinian people to build their own state must be recognized by all.
Denial of the right to statehood for the Palestinian people are unacceptable. These would indefinitely prolong a conflict that has become a major threat to global peace and security, exacerbate polarization, and embolden extremists everywhere. The right of the Palestinian people to build their own state must be recognized by all.
The fighting raged on Saturday across the Gaza Strip, whose health ministry reported a surging death toll, as Iran's Revolutionary Guard said 4 of its members were killed by a strike in Syria that it blamed on Israel. The Syria strike is the latest regional incident raising fears of wider conflagration. Gaza's health ministry reported at least 165 people were killed over the previous 24 hours, by far the largest such toll it has issued in days and more than double the previous day's figure. Witnesses reported gunfire, airstrikes and tank shelling throughout the day, particularly in southern Gaza's Khan Yunis city. Israel is pressing its push southwards against Hamas, but the armed wing of Hamas reported fierce combat with Israeli occupation forces in North Gaza. Also on Saturday, an Israeli strike on Damascus killed the Iranian Revolutionary Guard spy chief for Syria and 3 other Guards members. According to Gaza's health ministry, so far, Israel's relentless bombardment and ground offensive had killed nearly 25,000 people, mostly women and children. At least a dozen missiles were fired on Saturday at the military base used by US-led coalition forces in western Iraq. Now, according to a US defense source and Iraqi police, the Al-Assad air base was targeted by 15 rockets fired from Anbar province, which is home to the military base. A U.S. defense official said 13 of the projectiles were shot down by anti-air defenses, but 2 fell on the airbase. The official added that a joint damage assessment was underway with coalition and Iraqi forces. The American official said initial reports indicated that some U.S. personnel suffered minor injuries and a member of Iraq's security forces was also seriously wounded. The attack on the airbase comes amid soaring tensions in West Asia following the outbreak of the Israel-Hamas war on the 7th of October. On Monday evening, Iran launched a deadly strike in northern Iraq's autonomous Kurdistan region, saying it had targeted a site used by Mossad. Since mid-October, there have been dozens of attacks on U.S. and coalition forces in Iraq and Syria. Washington has on several occasions launched strikes of its own in retaliation. There are roughly 2,500 American troops in Iraq and some 900 in Syria. Britain's Ministry of Defence said today it would spend £405 million to upgrade a missile system now being used by the Royal Navy to shoot down hostile drones over the Red Sea. The Ministry of Defence said in a statement that the Sea Viper air defence system will be upgraded with missiles featuring a new warhead and software enabling it to counter ballistic missile threats. The contracts were awarded to the British division of MBDA a missiles joint venture owned by Airbus, BAE Systems and Leonardo. Defense Minister Grant Shapps said in a statement, as the situation in the Middle East worsens, it is vital that they adapt to keep the UK, its allies and partners safe. He said Sea Viper has been at the forefront of this, being the Navy's weapon of choice in the first shooting down of an aerial threat in more than 30 years. US and British naval forces in the Red Sea have shot drones and missiles fired by Yemen's Houthi movement this month as the conflict between Israel and Hamas spilled out into the broader region. North Korea's top diplomat said her country is ready to greet Russian President Vladimir Putin in the latest sign of deepening ties between the two authoritarian states. Traditional allies, Russia and North Korea, have recently boosted ties, with Pyongyang's leader Kim Jong-un making a rare overseas trip to meet Putin in Russia's Far East last September. The West has accused Moscow and Pyongyang of working together to support Russia's invasion of Ukraine, with North Korea believed to have sent hundreds of thousands of artillery shells and weapons to its ally. North Korean Foreign Minister Cho Sun-hui was in Moscow last week for meetings with Putin and her Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov. Increasing military and economic cooperation between Russia and North Korea has triggered concerns in Washington and Seoul. Top Russian officials, including Moscow's defense and foreign ministers, visited North Korea last year, fanning concern among Kiev's allies over a potential arms deal. Thousands of Maoris meet over government plans. That and more after this short break.
76 minit tanpa henti, 76 minutes non-stop. Transparent and concise. Paparan komprehensif, ringkas dan padat. Saksikan Kanta 744, 7.44 malam. Berita perdana 8 malam. Malaysia Tonight, 8:30 p.m.
Welcome back. More than 10,000 New Zealand Maoris congregated in the central North Island on Saturday to discuss how to respond to government plans that are seen by many Indigenous groups as undermining their rights and status. Maori King Tuhetia, who hosted the event, told attendees their voices matter, but it was not just talk, a solution that was needed.
There's no principles, the treaty is written, that's it. New Zealand is the easiest country to change a law. Each government comes in, oh, we don't like that law, we'll put a submission through, we'll change that. Yeah, they can change anything they like. But what I want is the treaty to be engrossed in the law that says that they can't change nothing.
New Zealand's centre-right coalition took office in October and is planning to undo policies of previous governments, particularly those promoting the official use of the Maori language and seeking to enhance Indigenous living standards and rights. Critics say these vows are the most significant step backward for Maori rights in decades, and some have taken legal action. The President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Félix Tshisekedi, was sworn in for a second five-year term on Saturday after sweeping elections that the opposition branded a sham while calling for protests. With tensions simmering in the vast nation's volatile eastern provinces, the 60-year-old president, known as Fachi, picked Kinshasa's 80,000-capacity Martyrs Sports Stadium for the ceremony. In his first term, Tshisekedi became president in January 2019, promising to improve living conditions in Congo, which boasts mineral riches but has a largely impoverished population of 100 million, and put an end to 25 years of bloodshed in the east. Tshisekedi has not kept those promises, but this time around, he's campaigned strongly on his first-term achievements, such as free primary medication, asking for another mandate to consolidate the progress. And more than 40 million people were registered to vote on 20th of December for a president, as well as national and regional lawmakers and municipal councillors. Tshisekedi officially triumphed with 73.47% of the vote. Moise Katumbi, a former governor of the central region of Katanga, came a distant second with 18.08%. Now, parts of Western Australia today are set to swelter through an extreme heat wave, raising the risk of bushfires in the vast state. The Bureau of Meteorology today had an extreme heat wave warning in place for the remote Pilbara and Gascoyne areas of Australia's largest state, warning temperatures there could hit high 40s degrees Celsius over the weekend. In the Pilbara mining town of Paraburdu, about 1,500 kilometers north of state capital Perth, a maximum temperature of 47 degrees Celsius was forecast today, more than 6 degrees above the average January maximum. Now, the hot weather lifts the risk of bushfires in an already high-risk fire season amid an El Nino weather event, which is typically associated with extreme events such as wildfires, cyclones, and droughts. The warning comes after hundreds of firefighters earlier this month battled an all-out-of-control bushfire near Perth amid soaring temperatures, prompting evacuations. Australia's last two fire seasons have been subdued compared with the 2019-2020 Black Summer of bushfires that destroyed an area of the size of Turkey, killed 33 people, 3 billion animals, and trillions of invertebrates. An all-European crew, including Turkey's first astronaut, arrived at the International Space Station, or ISS, on Saturday on a voyage chartered by Axiom Space. Dubbed Axiom Mission 3, it is the company's third launch to the space laboratory and the first where all three of the paid seats were bought by national agencies rather than wealthy individuals. Some sun. According to NASA's live stream of the event, the spacecraft docked at the ISS at 10:43 GMT and boarded within about 2 hours. The SpaceX Crew Dragon, fixed to the top of a Falcon 9 rocket, blasted off from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in the U.S. state of Florida on Thursday. It arrived at the ISS, which flies around 420 kilometers above the Earth, after a journey of about 36 hours. Turkish pilot and Air Force Colonel Alper Gezerevsi is joined by Walter Villadei, an Italian Air Force colonel who has previously flown to the edge of space on a Virgin Galactic space plane, and by Marcus Vandt from Sweden, who is representing the European Space Agency. They are led by Axiom's chief astronaut Michael Lopez Alegria, a Spanish and US citizen and former NASA astronaut. The Axiom 3 team were welcomed with hugs by the 7 crew members already on board the ISS from Japan, Denmark, the United States, and Russia. Next up in sports, injury time goal ends Harimau Malaya's Asia Cup campaign. A goal in injury time ended Malaysia's dream of progressing to the second round of the 2023 Asian Cup as the Harimau Malaya squad lost 1-0 to Bahrain in their second Group E match at Jassim bin Hamad Stadium last night. At the Jassim bin Hamad Stadium, it's the Malaysian starting 11 sported 4 changes as head coach Kim Panggon chose to field Muhammad Sharul Saad and Dominic Tan in defence, Muhammad Shamir Kuti Abba in midfield, and Paolo Juzui as the sole striker in a 5-4-1 formation. The changes seem to nearly have borne results. In the 16th minute, Arif Aiman Muhammad Hanafi pounced on the loose ball that Juzui failed to tuck home off a cross from Faisal Halim, only to have his shot deflected by Bahrain keeper Ibrahim Lutfala. Arif Aiman came close to scoring again 3 minutes later, but was a little too late in securing a cross from Jazui. Bahrain had a resurgence in the second half with Abdullah Yusuf's header in the 56th minute that was just shy of the post, putting the Malaysians on notice. But it was to be Bahrain's night, and as the 6th minute of the injury time came, midfielder Ali Madan scored the sole goal of the match, pouncing on a corner kick and slotting the ball in past Ahmad Shihan Hazmi. Now, Malaysia will wrap up their campaign against two-time champion South Korea this Thursday. Reacting to the loss, Harimau Malaya head coach Kim Panggon took full responsibility for Malaysia's defeat to Bahrain last night. Now, the loss at Jassim bin Hamad Stadium effectively ended Malaysia's chances of advancing to the round of 16, having previously lost 0-4 to Jordan in their first game on Monday. Now, he also said Malaysia had the chance of eking out a draw, but pointed out that his Chargers failed to dominate the game. On a positive note, Panggon noted that Malaysia's performance will provide instrumental experience to the young players who will have the opportunity to play in future Asian Cup tournaments. In the other Group E game, Jordan were denied a first-ever victory over South Korea when a 91st minute own goal from Yazan Al Arab gifted their opponents a 2-2 draw at the Al Tumama Stadium in Doha. Now, South Korea took the lead when Song Hyun-min was brought down in the box by Ehsan Haddad, and after a VAR check that lasted several minutes, the Tottenham Hotspur forward kept his focus amid a crescendo of boos to score. But Jordan did not crack, and they were rewarded for their constant pressure in the 37th minute when South Korea's Park Yong-woo headed the ball into his own net from a corner. Now, Jordan were denied a penalty in first half at a time when Musa Al-Ta'amari was brought down as he was bearing down on goal. But seconds later, Yazan Al-Naimad made it 2-1 when he unleashed a half volley from outside the box into the bottom corner. Now, South Korea upped the ante in the second half, but it took 45 minutes before they finally found an equalizer when Hwang In-bom's shot was turned into the net by Jordan centre-back Al Arab. The result leaves both teams on 4 points from 2 games. Now, Arsenal returned to winning ways in emphatic fashion with a 5-0 drubbing of toothless London rivals Crystal Palace to climb one place to third in the Premier League last night. The Gunner needed only 11 minutes to take the lead as Declan Rice's corner was met by defender Gabriel Magalhaes, who headed in from close range. Another corner led to Arsenal's second in the 37th minute as Gabriel again got clear of his marker all too easily, and his header went in off Palace's keeper Dean Henderson, who was later credited with an own goal. Leandro Trossard effectively killed Palace off in the 59th minute when Arsenal broke forward at pace, and he applied a clinical finish from Gabriel Jesus' square pass. With Palace in disarray, Gabriel Martinelli, who had gone 6 games without a goal, got in on the act of 2 silky finishes to give Arsenal's goal difference a healthy boost and equal their best margin of victory in a Premier League derby. Arsenal's victory ended a run of 3 successive defeats in all competitions and put them level on 43 points with Aston Villa and champions Manchester City. Now, Arsenal's goal difference is superior to Villa's, but worse than City's. Moving on to tennis, top seed Iga Świątek crashed out of the Australian Open on Saturday, losing 3-6, 6-3, 6-4 to Czech teenager Linda Noskova in the third round as her bid for a maiden Melbourne Park title and 5th Grand Slam trophy fell apart. The Pole, more accustomed to breezing past opponents with the odd bagel or 6-love scoreline thrown in, has struggled in Melbourne and during a first-set tiebreak in her opener against Sophia Kenin before fighting back from the brink of defeat to oust Danielle Collins last time out. Noskova, 19, emerged as a tricky third-round opponent with 3 top 10 wins under her belt. But Świątek looked in no mood to be dragged into another dogfight as she broke in the 6th game and held to love in the next to take charge. Swiatek looked to have composed herself during a brief pause in play as doctors attended to a sick supporter in the crowd and broke back. But Noskova did not relent and got her nose in front again to close out the match on serve and complete a huge upset. In the men's draw, third seed Daniil Medvedev eased past Canada's 27th seed Felix Auger-Aliassime 6-3, 6-4, 6-3. Cameron Norrie, the 19th seed, took out former world number 2 Casper Ruud with a 6-4, 6-7, 6-4, 6-3 win to make it to the fourth round of the tournament for the first time. The 28-year-old is the last remaining British singles player at the tournament. And Nuno Borges of Portugal defeated Bulgarian 13th seed Grigor Dimitrov 6-7, 6-4, 6-2, 7-6. The 26-year-old, ranked 69 in the world, is now through to the fourth round of a major for the first time in his career. Meanwhile, Carlos Alcaraz eased into the fourth round of the Australian Open for the first time after Chinese wildcard Zhang Juncheng retired hurt while trailing their uneven contest of 6-1, 6-1, 1-love. In the unusual position of playing someone younger than himself, twice Grand Slam champion Alcaraz had simply dominated the 18-year-old Zhang for just over an hour on Rod Laver Arena. Now, Zhang, known as Jerry at his Florida training base, had taken a medical timeout for treatment on his thigh at 4-1 down in the second set and gave up the ghost after being broken for the sixth time at the start of the third. Serbia's Miomir Kecmanovic, the world number 60, upset American Tommy Paul 6-4, 3-6, 2-6, 7-6, 6-love to set up a last 16 clash with Alcaraz. Italy's Jasmine Paolini beats Russia's Anna Blinkova 7-6, 6-4 to secure a last 16 meeting with fellow fourth-round debutante Anna Kalinskaya. New tech unveiled and gamers return to Persia after 14 years. That and more in our Offbeat segment this week. For those who struggle with parking, Hyundai's Mobis Crab Walk Mobian electric car concept could be the answer. Now, perfect for fitting into tight parking spaces, making 360-degree turns or gliding diagonally across lanes, the Mobius features the innovative e-corner system that allows all four wheels of the car to rotate and move independently, making almost any maneuver possible, allowing the car to move sideways like a crab, diagonally, or make pivot turns. Making its CES 2024 debut, the technology makes parallel parking a breeze. Now, part of the Hyundai's motor group, Hyundai Mobis, has been developing its crab walk technology for several years, but this is the first time it is showing off at CES. And is easy to drive? According to Hyundai's Mobis' Vice President and Head of Advanced Engineering, Lee Seong-hwan, apparently it is not.
Yeah, actually it is very difficult to drive because it is very special motion, and then they're differently from the ordinary car, the current car. So, but I think if this technology can combined with the autonomous driving technology, I don't think we need more special learning for the driving.
Despite that, the demonstration of the driving system drew serious crowds at the CES. CES also showcased another new technology that might interest everyone, as it was revealed that vacuum-sealed technology might soon replace television cables and wall mounts as wireless TVs make their way to the market. Now, Aaron Kirsch, CES presenter for Displays, demonstrated the installation of the Display's wireless TV.
Sealed to any smooth surface. And in about 5 seconds, you're going to hear that chime. There's the chime, and there's your TV. No hardware, no adhesives, no installation. If you've got a flat surface, you've got a place for displace. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, it just happened to rhyme.
The device boasts an active loop vacuum technology with a push of 2 side handles, securing it to any smooth surface. The TV also features facial recognition technology, which allows users to switch between displays TVs set up in different rooms of their home.
Oh my God, one person. Okay, great.
A legend. Video game fans were able to get hold of the first new release in 14 years in the Prince of Persia franchise earlier this week. Ubisoft released Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown on Thursday, and is the franchise's first release since The Forgotten Sands, which came out in 2010. The new game allows players to embody warrior Sargon, who is part of the elite, the Immortals group. Game creator Abdul Haq Ilges said his team looked to strike a balance, honoring the Prince of Persia legacy while also bringing it into modern times.
For instance, for the combat system, that was very important for us, that to bring something to the players where they can express themselves and combine all the elements they can have. Because in the game industry, and especially in the last 5 years, we have discovered that it is possible then to give to players tools and then let them express themselves and create some stuff. So we really wanted the design to respect that kind of modernity.
A full piece of orchestra also features on part of the game's soundtrack, with the music recorded at London's Abbey Road Studios. British musician and former Dire Straits frontman Mark Knopfler is selling off a large part of his extensive guitar collection at a London auction, with part of the proceeds going to charity. The collection, which includes 122 items and some of the most significant guitars from Knopfler's 50-year career, was displayed by Christie's Auction House at a pre-sale exhibition on Thursday ahead of the 31st of January sale. A 1983 Gibson Les Paul Standard 59 reissue used for the track Money for Nothing, which contains one of Knopfler's most iconic guitar riffs, is also being sold for around £6,000 to £8,000.
So the top lot, as it were, in the auction is a beautiful 1959 Gibson Les Paul Standard. The estimate is £300,000 to £500,000. It is a really special vintage instrument that, you know, in its own right, without the Mark Knopfler connection, is very valuable. I mean, I think recently similar 59s have sold on the open market for over $500,000. So we're really excited to see how that inspires fans and collectors around the world, and we're anticipating a really positive response.
The auction will also feature a Gibson guitar covered in autographs by Knopfler and other legendary musicians, including David Gilmour, Ronnie Wood, Ringo Starr and Sting, from which all of the proceeds will be donated to the Teenage Cancer Trust. And that's it for this afternoon. Wrapping up with a recap of our top story: denial of Palestinian statehood unacceptable. Tune in to Malaysia Tonight, coming up at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm Jessica Lee, Malaysia Madani, Tekap Paduan Penuhi